Have you ever wondered how Oakland's budget works and how decisions are made to fund street improvements, parks, libraries, and more? The City of Oakland's 2-year budget is approximately $2.3 billion. Just like us, the city has to collect more money than it spends. Money is collected from us through taxes, service fees, and fines. The city also receives grants from the state and federal government. When taxes are paid, like property tax, sales tax, and business tax, a percentage comes to the city to fund local programs and services like parks, libraries, fire, and police departments. The rest go to other local government agencies who provide public service: East Bay Mud for water, Alameda County for public health, homelessness, and supportive housing, AC Transit for transportation, and Oakland Unified School District for public education. Most of the city's revenue is restricted, meaning it has to be spent on what it was meant for. If money comes from a special voter-approved tax that was intended to fund libraries, that money has to go toward library services. Permit fees that people pay are required to go back into a fund that pays for the staff and technology needed to keep providing them. Departments that manage the city's infrastructure and housing development rely primarily on bond funding and voter-approved measures that are generally restricted. The rest of the money goes into an account called the General Purpose Fund. This account is more flexible and can be spent on what the City Council thinks the most important expenses are for the community. Services that don't have dedicated funding sources, like police, fire, and general government services, are paid for out of this account. Funds are distributed to city departments to pay for the costs associated with providing services. As the population grows, the amount of services that the city needs to provide grows as well. Over half of the city's money goes to pay for the salaries, retirement, and healthcare costs of city staff. Other expenses include operating expenses such as grants, contracts for services, supplies and materials, utilities, equipment purchases, and debt payments. Rising costs that households are experiencing, insurance, utilities, fuel, healthcare are also rising for the city. So even though revenues have been growing, expenses are growing faster. This is what's known as a structural deficit. The city just doesn't have enough money to pay for all of the things that it needs without reducing expenses or bringing in more revenues. Every 2 years, city staff, the mayor, and city council work together to adopt a balanced budget by June 30th that outlines the spending priorities for the next 2 years. This work involves the participation of all city departments, the labor unions that represent city staff, and you, the community that pays the taxes that provides for these services. As a resident of Oakland, you have the opportunity to be part of the process. Learn more about how the budget works and what you can do to get involved at oaklandca.gov/budget.